Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stoked, the ultimate Star Trek online podcast. My name is Chris.
My name is Jeremy.
Hey there, J-Man. Throw another steak on the barbecue because we've got a whole bunch of Season 4 to go through, and you're going to need yourself a snack to keep up.
Yeah, you will.
In fact, we should probably give you a little disclaimer up front. Our STF coverage that we've been doing for the last couple episodes got put on hold. One part because of some technical reasons we had during the gameplay, but the other reason is there's just so much from Season 4 that we want to go through that we're going to bring Al Rivera, the lead designer of Star Trek Online. He's going to come in here and give us the math.
That's right. Math makes a triumphant return with Al on board to tell us all about ground combat.
Yeah, and there's nobody better than Al to come on and tell us about it, so you guys have got to stay tuned for that. And then, at the end of the episode, we're going to give you our quick review of the new ground combat mode that just hit on Tribble and give you a few exclusive looks at that.
So first, we'll get into the mechanics. We'll get all the tips and tricks from Al, and then we'll tell you what we think about it.
Show you all the pretties. Yeah. But first, there's the new engineering report that came out this week. That's more of like stuff that's in the present, so we thought maybe we'd cover that first, run through that, and then jump into all that stuff.
Now, actually, most of the engineering report this time, at least the nuggets that I've pulled out of it, are actually very forward-thinking. This is stuff that's like, post-Season 4, coming maybe even in 5 or later.
Yeah.
I think, actually, to be honest, a lot of this I think is going to interest Klingons the most because some of it includes consensual open-world PvP.
Oh, what, J-Man?
Open world PvP. Or did you like the word consensual?
Yeah, I do.
It's better to be consenting.
Is that Dan's word?
Yes.
Nice, Dan.
Now that just means that basically in these new areas that'll be available open for PvP, you have to actually opt in to participate in it. It's not, you will never get jumped.
So these new areas?
Uh-huh.
What do you mean by these new areas?
Well, you know the sorties that they added to Cadet?
Yeah.
They're basically going to take very similar missions to those sorties, put them in other sectors so that Klingons have more things to do in those other sectors. But, let's take the freighter rating, for example.
Sure, yeah.
In the current version in Cadet, when you do that, there's NPC Federation ships there to try to stop you from raiding the freighters.
Right.
In these new versions, there will be no NPC ships, but those same zones will be open for Federation players to enter into and defend those freighters against Klingon players attempting to raid them.
Oh, so it's more like I'll fly up to an area and engage PvP, which is kind of like what I was talking about last episode.
Yeah.
So it's like one part Deep Space Encounter, one part PvP zone.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
That's a neat thing for the Klingons, too.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have, so that means
consensual
PvP. More sectors open to the Klingons with things to do in there as well. So it's kind of a win-win on that front. Now, as I said, this is a ways off, but there's links in our show notes to more information from both Gozer and Stahl talking about this. So it's not just something they dropped in the engineering report. They're seriously in design discussions about this.
Well, that's interesting.
It's very cool.
Now, what else came out in this engineering report that you think we should talk about on the show here?
Well, just a quick mention, they're going to be adding more fleet action soon for both ground and space. Now that they've got that really cool PvE queue available, where you can actually get into the fleet actions easier with your friends if you wanted to.
But it's specifically for fleet actions.
Right.
Any rate, so now that you're going to have this new fleet queue system, you're going to have some content to throw in it.
Yeah, more content, more fleet actions put together. There's also been hints that they might be even looking into making 5-man versions of some existing fleet actions and future fleet actions so that you can still, a lot of people out there don't like getting together with 20 people. It's overkill. They want to play in a more intimate environment.
Yeah.
So if they want to try to do something like the Big Dig with just 4 of their friends instead of 19 of their friends, there may be an option to that in the future.
I wonder,
so you can experience some of that content.
Might be less, I guess that would be kind of nice because then it's less of like it's less mayhem. Now, we did get some information about delays.
Yeah, unfortunate news. The big one that I think is on everybody's concern list right now is that the duty officer system is not going to be a part. No. Control yourself.
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
It's not going to be a part of the Season 4 launch. It will be coming in the very near future. In fact, we already have most of the graphical files and everything were contained in the Tribble patch.
Jeremy,
it's just not turned on.
I'm so angry I'm about to break this keyboard over my knee and flip this table over. I'm just freaking out right now.
A lot of people on the forum seriously are.
Yeah, and I don't mean to mock, but at the same time I'm like, well, yeah. I mean,
and it basically comes down to if it's not a finished product, they don't want to roll it out. They don't want to give us something, especially because it's got so much hype around this.
What's funny because we know it's close, at least on a lot of levels, because it's in Tribble now. If you watch your patch files on this last big Tribble patch, a ton of stuff for the DOF system made its way in there.
Yeah.
So it's close.
But not only that, but Heretic and a few of the other devs have been talking so openly about this duty officer system that you can tell most of it's already in place. I get the impression, they haven't come out and said this, but that the mechanics, the system, the UI are all like 99% finished, and it's really a matter of getting the content in place.
Sounds like it might have been a little a little bit of scope sprawl too, where they like start building something that becomes this
like
massive,
feature creep.
Yeah, feature creep where it's just like.
I said it wasn't, but it does feel that way.
You start one area and then it kind of branches out. Honestly, again, I go back to you can't always be butthurt when you get to have like the recipe put out there and say, hey, this is the dinner we're going to make you, and then it gets there and the full meal isn't ready yet. It's like, well, if we wouldn't have told you what the dinner was going to be and what the recipe was, then you wouldn't even know what you get at all.
Right.
So you can't always, you got to remember, you got to take your butthurtness and put it in check when that happens, those kind of things.
Well, and it will be coming soon. It's not like it's going to be put off to season 5 or 6 or something. It'll be out here very soon.
Can we make that a saying of the show, check your butthurt at the door?
Yeah, we will.
You just got to deal with it sometimes.
We'll make a graphic for it and everything.
And it's funny, I think, we're about to talk about one more delayed item, but I think that you look at season 4 and the scope of what's just on there now is already seems massive to me.
Yeah.
So the fact that the DOF system is even going to be part of it just seems huge.
Now, I think one of the reasons that some people have been upset about this is like season 3, the Foundry was going to be a huge part of that, and it didn't make it until like a month or a month and a half later.
But again,
so
you don't want it until it's ready.
You don't want it until it's ready.
You don't want him to go Duke Nukem forever on this thing, but you don't want him to have to wait. All right, let's talk about this other delay that we came out of the engineering report.
This is kind of a minor point when compared to the DOF system, but those Borg deep space encounters that we talked about previously, they're going to be delayed as well. But instead of coming out at the end of June, they will be a part of the season 4 launch.
That's cool.
I kind of like that. It seems like it'll feel more like an event.
It's a party.
Something really to do.
Yeah.
And the main reason that they're being delayed is because they wanted to turn them into something more than just copies of the Gamma Orionis deep space encounters. They wanted them to have their own special thing going on.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a whole, the Borg are getting a whole stroke of coolness brushed all over them as part of season 4 too. So it might be more fun to wait till then anyways. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, we're going to count down.
Okay.
3,
okay.
We'll do it on 1. Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, tweet leaks!
On 1. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so we got 2 big things about the cadet uniform coming soon. We got, first of all, a concept art.
Yeah,
which looks really nice.
And a cadet uniform has been one of my personal favorites. It's like I'd love to get in the game, get this cadet uniform going. It's got a soft spot for it.
Yeah. Now there's the concept art, but there's also a shot over the shoulder of one of the new hires. So and he's actually working on the cadet uniform now. Cadet uniforms, whatever, blah blah blah. But I'm going to make them standard for our red shirts in Jupiter Force.
That's
for one
exactly
thing. The other thing is,
yes.
Can you just imagine that's what you're going to start with when you get into the Starfleet Academy tutorial?
Exactly, yes.
And then you'll get to pick your uniform when you're done.
I like the idea, too, that I wonder, yeah, because you could put the badge on there for the fleet and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be cool. All right, we got more tweet leaks. Yeah,
both from Gozer. First of all, he a couple weeks ago, he promised that every Friday from now on, he's going to be releasing more and more information and screenshots from the Special Task Forces.
That's cool.
But this one also shows what we think is a new accolade coming as an optional objective to Infected.
Yeah.
Where you get to save actual people being infected by the Borg, being assimilated in progress.
Now, this of course, we're following closely because as we're going through and doing these STF spotlights, we're like, what are they going to change? What are they going to mix up on us? And I honestly am looking forward to every little change because I can't wait to run back through and see them as we go and do follow-up coverage on that.
I mean, the changes to the Borg and these new accolades, and Gozer going through and retouching all of these. It's going to give everybody a new reason to go back and
we're
experience this content.
We're both fired up about the STFs right now, so that's pretty cool. Now, you want to talk a little season 4 stuff?
Yes.
Little first taste is.
We started the tease last week, but we glanced over some of the stuff. We kind of just said we'll touch on that more in the future
because there's tons of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So we're going to give it to you in batches. Pretty much from this point forward, the rest of the show is basically about season 4.
Yep.
And the first thing we thought we'd talk about is some of the most love that's been given to this new patch is Qo'nos.
Yeah.
It's just totally revamped.
I am completely jealous of the Klingon side. And I say that as a player that wanted to be a Klingon as a primary to start with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if you go back in the archives, the J-Man did go on record before the game even launched and said he was going to go Klingon.
Yeah.
Which Brian and I both were like, what?
Why would you do that?
Yeah. So it's got essentially 4 courtyards, the way this thing's structured. And you have little areas, and one area has fireplaces with smokestacks, and there's nice little ambiance touches throughout. Like, for example, those neon signs that from a distance are Klingon, and then when you get closer, they flicker into English.
They auto translate on the fly.
When we were on the live stream, kind of running through it, and I was like, oh, because you were already up at him. I was like, oh, that'd be cool if those were in Klingon, but I guess you wouldn't be able to read it. And then you ran back and like, well, let's just see. And you come running through the door, and as right as you're running through the door, it's like pow, it translates, and you're just like, that is totally epic.
And this whole place is just filled with tons of those little happy little touches. First of all of Qo'nos now just feels like a city. And I don't know if it's just that there's people wandering around and talking to one another.
It seems like there's also more variation in the local life there.
And the architecture and the decoration and everything there. And there's little like alleys that you can walk off to. And I found an Orion whorehouse. I mean, you couldn't go in. You couldn't go in, but you could talk to the patron.
Maybe that'll be a season 5
The proprietor
feature.
I was out front.
Something for the Foundry authors to fill in there. Maybe they can hook that up. Now, the other thing you have to keep in mind, at least when your first impressions of this, is one of the reasons it feels so. I want to use the word texture, and I think that's appropriate because one of the things that we found out through Season 4 is a lot of, or maybe all textures have almost a 4x improvement without an additional memory footprint. That's what I was told in the chat room from Cryptic employees, and it really, really shines on the ground of Qo'nos.
It totally shows. I mean, when we first loaded Tribble on our local system here, like last week or the week before.
Yeah, it was.
We were blown away. We were like, wow, this really looks good. And we thought maybe it was just the DX11 support that they had implemented.
Yeah. Well, the first time I saw it, I was on a new machine that I'd never played on before, and I was like, oh, this computer is the best STOked computer ever. This must be this is the only thing they'll ever play STOked again. And then I played on another machine. I was like, wait a minute, that looks good too. And then like I was talking about it on the pre-show today on the live stream, and there was, sure enough, there's some Cryptic folks that were hanging out. They're like, oh yeah, no, it's 4x better.
So
like,
I don't even know how, but something on the back end they've managed to increase their compression algorithms.
I don't know, and that's just
they
a number
probably just threw some tachyons on it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they did. It seems like the 4 times the tachyons has definitely been implemented.
I want to mention some of the specific architecture in Qo'nos before we move on and just talk about general stuff. But the bank. Did you go visit the bank at all?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, it's ran by Ferengis, which I just think is kind of charming, kind of appropriate.
Yeah. I love that the Ferengi are still just like we don't pick sides.
Right.
We just want to make money. I love that.
So you walk into first of all, there's a Ferengis at the door, like, oh, welcome to the bank. And there's one out front talking about their lobes for business, and it's great. But once you get in there, and first of all, you can interact with all these consoles. It's nice open area that you can interact. There's plenty of room for as many people that would want to be there using the bank. But there's even more space below, which is inaccessible. But it's this gigantic sprawling warehouse with Ferengi NPCs down there working, going about their business.
But it's inaccessible?
It's inaccessible. It's just like it's background, but it's huge, and it's like it feels like it was a real Star Trek thing, because if you were to go there and try to access your bank, there would have to be physical storage somewhere to keep your stuff in storage.
Yeah.
And to keep all your fleet stuff in storage, and it's right there.
Yeah.
You can see it.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
That is a really
nice
touch.
Love that.
The other thing that got a major revamp is the shipyard.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Now it's kind of hard to find. You have to beam to it from Qo'nos because Qo'nos is the ground, shipyards are in space, which makes perfect sense, but it was a little unintuitive when I first was introduced to it. But because it's in space, when you beam to this little shipyard station, you can see the planet outside the window. You can see birds of prey outside the window.
Yeah, it's one of these things where you look at where Chronos is at now and the shipyard. And I guess I'll make the same comment in the ground combat, but it seems like some of this stuff, it's some of the best work you've seen yet, and the Klingons really, I think, got a first class upgrade with that.
This is amazing. And you know what? While we're talking about the shipyard, I want to mention the UI that they implemented for the new ship requisitions. Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I got to give a belly clap for that right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice shorts, by the way.
They look like pants. What are you talking about?
Well, they're not.
A party downstairs, you guys.
So a lot of that work we were hearing was made by Thomas, but he told us that we had to mention somebody else.
But we already forgot who that was because we are.
So Thomas gets the full credit for that. Thomas the Cryptic Cat.
There you go, Thomas the Cryptic Cat. You got credit.
Falling Sky. That's it.
Falling Sky, thanks Thomas. And the whole UI, when like you can filter based on your ship, you can filter based on your level, and as you select the different stuff, different elements removed from the UI, so it becomes more and more focused just on what you want. So
and
it becomes less and less.
It's not just text anymore. You don't have to parse through all these fields of text.
And you can see each ship, and you can move it around. You can select its variant and its build, and you can see its so cool. It looks like one of the components of just a first tier fully polished game.
Yeah.
Where they just have like teams of people who are just refining areas of the game, and this is just one of those spots you're like, oh man, that just looks right. That's how it should be. It's awesome. And it's funny, and the fact that some people will come to the game now and never experienced the game without that.
Right.
And it's just that's
lucky bastard.
It's nice. Yeah, it's really good. There's also you have a note here. You want to talk about the Boff Arena.
Yeah, they kept. You remember when you first get a Klingon character, in order to get your first crew, you have to go beat them up in an arena.
Yeah,
I love that. That was one of my favorite parts of starting a Klingon.
Very
character.
Klingon. Totally something completely different than the Fed side.
They kept it.
Yes,
it's still there. That Boff Arena is still there.
You just wanted to mention that.
I was like, they didn't get rid of that.
I was like, I didn't notice anything different. So,
no, they kept it. So it's great that they're not abandoning anything that was already correct. That was already right.
So in summary, Qo'nos is total hotness, and the shipyard is the cherry on the top of the hotness cake. Right?
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts on all that?
Go make a Klingon, everybody. If you haven't already, you got to check out Qo'nos.
Plus, you get to go play with the new Gorns.
Yeah.
Which look awesome.
There's not as many customization options for the Gorn as I was hoping that there would be, but they do look badass. Yeah. They just simply do.
Yeah. J-Man, I feel a change in... Why, J-Man, it's back, J-Man.
What?
Let's get mathed.
All right, well, this is great. Okay, so first thing that we wanted to do is make sure that as little is changed as possible for people who want to play in the old mode. So we wanted to make sure that the old game was preserved. And although we did significantly change the stats, the hit points, and everything has changed, right? All the stats, all the hit points, all the damage, all the shields, and just about every ground power in the game has been modified in some way.
Now, I had heard somewhere online that many of the shield amounts and hit point amounts has actually been lowered on both players and mobs in order to kind of speed up the course of combat. Is that...
The hit points and shields on everything has been greatly reduced, and everything. Basically, all the values are all brand new. It was completely rebuilt from scratch, and everything is a lot faster. One of the major complaints we had with the old ground combat was that, well, every encounter felt the same. It was almost a little drudgery. It was a little slow. It took if you fight someone with healing, and the battle would last for minutes, and you didn't feel powerful. And we want players to feel powerful. It's great in Diablo to feel powerful, right?
Yeah.
But we also want those really tough encounters. So the goal is, yes, it's okay to blaze through instant critters. That's what we want. We want you to feel powerful. When you get those lieutenants, pay attention to them a little bit. The commanders, almost like mini bosses. You got to pay attention to those commanders. And so we want to change the pacing up a lot. So that is going to change whether you're in RPG mode or shooter mode. So that is going to change, and hopefully everyone will enjoy that. It's in my opinion, it's a lot better. The pacing is a lot more interesting. You feel a lot more powerful. It's a lot more gratifying. And in general, RPG mode is also going to benefit from the faster cast times and the slicker animations. But to go along with that, if you go into your options menu, and I'll go in there too, we now have, if you haven't seen, a separate set of keybinds and controls based on whether you are in RPG mode or shooter mode. So you can configure them separately.
Great.
We use N, R, and T, our three important keys for shooter mode. And we'll switch you back and forth from shooter into RPG mode.
Yep.
And R and T are keyboard shortcuts.
Show tray overlay?
Yeah, tray overlay.
It's under skills. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set mine back to R and T then, because I had remapped them on this character.
You can just always hit reset to defaults. So this will allow people to, if they want to maintain one set of controls on RPG mode and different one in shooter mode, and allows us to go ahead and add new keys directly into shooter mode without affecting players' existing characters. Another thing that is a little bit of love for RPG mode is that if you expose a target, we've always had the ability to hit G and it'll target that selected exposed target. Are you familiar with that command?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, now, if you have an exposed weapon, currently using a weapon that exposes, and you expose a target and you hit the G key, it will swap you immediately to your exploit weapon.
Oh, nice.
In one shot. So you don't have to hit G and then Z to swap and then 2 to exploit. You just hit G and 2. So let's get into this. So the first thing is N will get you into shooter mode.
Right.
Okay. And so you'll see a targeting reticle come up and this little LCAR-Z, and it looks a little different on the Klingon side. First thing is that you can shoot anywhere, right?
Or swing anywhere.
When you log in, some of the guns got completely changed. So all the guns got updated as far as speed and numbers and values. But for instance, any gun that you had that was a assault multi-beam immediately changed into that minigun that you're using right there. And any assault rapid fire gun became an assault rifle, rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
And any rifle pulse wave and any assault arc wave both got changed into the new shotgun, where the pulse wave is the primary and the arc wave is the secondary. And that gun does more damage at closer range.
Like if you're closer, it'll do its maximum damage and it diminishes over distance?
That is correct. There is a minimal amount of damage that it will do, and then it does nothing. But yes, the closer you get, the more damage both of those attacks will do.
Okay, so here I go. I'm going to try... This is at maximum range of the special attack on the shotgun type. So 95. All right, shotgun to the face. 263.
The weapons like that minigun and this rapid fire gun and like the Breen CRM 200 and the dual pistols, the secondary fire that does these cone attacks can be swept across multiple targets.
The blast assault. This might be handy because you can actually fire it wherever you want instead of having the target.
If you want to point the ground, you can point the ground instead and explode things that way.
I have a grenade I can show off here.
Oh, grenades are really cool things to talk about. Grenades in shooter mode, you can throw them over hills. So you can, for instance, you could throw over this rock right here if you've got a grenade.
How exactly do I throw it over the rock? Just point through it, or do
just
point
up in the air. Point up in the air. And so I am working with the AI guys to teach quantum orders to do the same thing.
Before we go on, I just remembered we were talking about the keybinds before.
Yes. If you're in shooter mode, how do you hit your powers in your power tray? Because we don't want you to have to hit N to get back out of there. If you hit R, you'll see that a little highlight will appear above your primary, secondary, and tertiary power on your power tray. So now those three keys those three areas on your tray that are highlighted can now be activated with your right, left, and middle mouse button. And you can keep hitting R moves that up and down, and T moves it left and right. Getting the UI to work with shooter mode was the bigger challenge than actually getting the shooter mode to work. If you are in shooter mode and hit U to access your paper doll, you'll notice you'll temporarily go into RPG mode. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to update all our menus to do that as well. So if you have if a dialogue pops up, you won't be crippled. And we're trying to figure out which dialogues are the best ones to put you automatically into RPG mode and which ones to leave you in shooter mode. There is, and I'm going to be very cautious about the way I word this, a very simple cover mechanic in here now. And so what I mean by that is when you crouch, your actual collision is reduced. So if you crouch below a short wall, you can actually get, critters are not going to be able to shoot you, like this kind of height thing right here. One of the things we're experimenting with doing is actually splitting crouch and aim, so that way you can go into aim mode but still stand up. That's something that we're working on. Hopefully we can get that out before Season 4.
And it was mentioned before that when you drop behind cover, there is a slight threat reduction to kind of prevent the...
That is hopefully is in a lot of tuning and testing right now. I can't guarantee that that's going to work very well at this point. Mm-hmm. But that's the goal, is to try to make it feel just like that. Some of the things that players have talked about that they want to see that we're working on is being able to just hold down your left mouse button to continuously fire your primary attack. Mm-hmm. So we're because it is so much faster right now, particularly if you have a pistol. Pistols generally have more DPS than rifles, but rifles have greater burst damage per shot. Pistols, of course, have a slightly shorter range. You also see the sniper rifle has a remarkably improved range. I think it's almost 50% greater than it was before.
Now, just for anybody that hasn't used this yet, you can tell the range on your weapon because even though the enemy is highlighted, your reticle will be blue or a different color. I'm not sure what it is for Klingons. Okay, so I wanted to show off the range differences. So now I've got a sniper rifle equipped. So you can see just how far away I can get while still having a target available. So just as a comparison, so this sniper rifle can hit from here, but if I switch to the pistol, no target.
Yeah, much shorter.
Until I
Pistols, but if you'll notice, a pistol fires. Do you have a bolt pistol or a beam pistol?
Yeah, this is a compression bolt, so it fires really fast.
Yeah, that's about the fastest that we can make the engine play in a MMO that has server.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this thing fires as fast as what you might call the global cooldown. It is possible to miss your target.
Yes, it is possible to miss your target,
and that really sucks sometimes. You have to be careful.
It's a little forgiving, but it also, you also have the advantage of being able to select targets very quickly. Someone gets behind you, you can just turn and shoot them. If someone runs around a corner, you don't get a fail because you're no longer have line of sight of the target. You'll just move to shoot the next one.
But it also is, calling this shooter mode is a little apt, even though it's more forgiving than an actual first-person or third-person shooter. But if you're running and gunning, it's possible that you can accidentally fire off your special attack at a tree between your targets, especially if they're running around as well.
Yes.
Somebody in the chat room just asked if there are headshots, but correct me if I'm wrong, every enemy still only has a single hitbox.
Yeah, there are no headshots. You select a target, not a particular body part.
Let's talk about the rifle butt combos.
Ah, yes. Let's talk about rifle butt combos. The combos are different based on which weapon you're using. So if you have a rifle or a pistol or assault, it's different. So with the rifle, you will always start off with the push, right? This one right here. Once you hit them with that, you can't multiple knockback someone. We don't want you to chain knockback a target with player or a critter. So once you hit them with that, they get a little bit of a resistance. And so when you hit them again, then you go into this other set of combos. If you eventually expose that target, which you can with these attacks, you will then immediately do an exploit attack. If you're in RPG mode...
Oh, there we go. There was the exploit.
There you go. Yeah, you get the exploit, and then you do a little roundhouse,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Now, the pistols have a different set of combos, but it basically does the same thing. But the assault weapon is a big, heavy gun, and it doesn't have the same combo. So it just has a basic... just 1-2 shots. The assault does not have an exploit ability.
Okay.
Now, the shotgun is kind of special. It's kind of a hybrid between assaults and rifles. So it actually uses assault skills, but it has the rifle combo.
Oh, these are awesome combos. I'm just showing off the pistol real quick.
Now, the old combos are still in there, so if you take your weapon out, if you use the 1, 2, and 3, you still have that old combos which kind of feed off, they actually will chain.
Right, also with other melee weapons and stuff like that. Yeah,
right, and like the bat'leth and the lerp and the sword, those still exist. That's something else that I wanted to mention. There were a couple bridge officer powers that kit powers that we modified. For instance, I was never pleased with making volcanoes on starships, so we changed. The thermal vents, a graphic change and display name change. Simply, the basic power is the same. Changed it to a exothermic induction field or something.
Right.
Right.
So instead of making a volcano, it makes just a really hot spot.
Yeah, you're just doing a little thing with thermite. It's like a little thermite explosion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The gravity one, I can't remember the
it
old.
Makes gravimetric shift.
Yeah, gravimetric shift got changed to stop looking a little bit like an earthquake, and so it's a electrogravitic field, I believe now.
And because of those two changes, the geophysicist kit ended up being changed to be just physics.
Yeah, just physics. Physicist kit. Yeah, and the skill got changed to physics instead of geophysics. So, but that's just a name change. It all works exactly the same as it was before. So I think that's about all that I wanted to directly cover.
Well, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for fitting us in.
Sure.
Excellent info. Amazing work.
I hope everybody enjoyed it. We are getting there's the official thread for it. We don't respond to it all. There's just too many pages, but we're reading as much as we can, and we're taking a lot of the comments, and we're taking them to heart. So we've already made some changes based on the feedback there.
Well, thanks for joining us, Al.
Yeah, have a good one.
Sure, real pleasure. I look forward to speaking with you guys again soon.
welcome to Tactical View. Now, in this episode, it is our extreme pleasure to talk about the new ground combat system that has hit Tribble.
Oh, it's such an extreme pleasure to play the new ground combat that's on Tribble.
Well said, sir. It is. It is a gratifying experience. I'll put it down. I'll put it succinctly like this: everything is faster if you're in the new shooter mode. Of course, all of your classic RPG mode, camera back stuff's all still there. Mm-hmm. But if you go into this new shooter mode, one of the things that I'll just put it as bluntly as I think it can be put, the guns and weapons now fire, at least most of them, the main shots now fire as fast as possible for the game to fire, as in what can be achieved between a client and server relationship, and you have to have that internet delay in there.
There's always going to be a slight amount of latency, but this is like...
Their guns are now as fast as the game is currently physically possible to make them. That's how much faster they are.
When you press a button, stuff happens.
The gun fires.
Yeah.
And when you're in that first-person shooter mode and you get somebody in your sights and you press that button and that gun immediately fires and you hit them, I mean, it's such a satisfying shot. Mm-hmm. Especially because one of the things that this new shooter mode, which I realized is going to completely fundamentally change gameplay for me personally, Jamin, and I think you too, is one of the things, especially in dogpile board combat situations, is I sometimes struggle with the targeting system.
Yeah.
I often frequently will grab the wrong target, and when you're dealing with board combats, order of target is kind of important. You want to make sure you take out the right ones.
It's especially annoying in STFs if you get a proto behind you. You can hit tab to grab your next target or something, or try to click on your screen, grab the edge of the target of a protoborg, and all of a sudden you're shooting something behind you.
And you aggro them, and now you've got multiple guys on you and things like that. Well, this new shooter mode, the way you target things and the way you aim changes that forever, because it's no longer up to the system. It's you, and you put your mouse on the target and you fire. And it's just a new way of doing it, and it just eliminates that problem.
Now, the responsiveness of the UI goes beyond just firing your weapons as well. This includes kit powers. Almost all of the activation times on all of the kit powers and captain abilities have been either drastically reduced or eliminated. So no longer do you hit your tricorder scan and have to sit there for a second and a half while it actually activates and you do the animation and beep, 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 beep. No, it's just, it's done. You hit the button, it happens.
And you can target in the new shooter mode. You can also target your heals in the new shooter mode. So you can get right on somebody, and either friend or foe, and you can do your casting right there.
And if you have an enemy targeted and you try to fire a heal, it auto-targets yourself. So you don't have to hit F1 to do it and stuff like that. I'll be honest, though, I think most healers will probably stick with RPG mode. It's just easier. You can
kind of need that far back tactical view.
Well, not only that, but you can, if you're watching your group lineup and you see that number 4 guy in your lineup is getting hit, it would be more difficult to try and find out where they are on the map and target them and heal them. Whereas in RPG mode, you can just click on their picture. Yeah.
But the advantage is in that shooter mode, if you do have like somebody behind you, you literally just spin around and now you have them targeted.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. Every weapon now has sort of a tweaked sound effect. In some cases, it's more pronounced than in other cases.
Yep.
But in every case, it's an improvement.
It's even different between different energy types of the same weapon. And some of the graphical effects are different. Like a Polaron sniper rifle has a completely different secondary fire look than an anti-proton sniper rifle.
Yeah. When I think of why I think this is such a big deal, I think it's such a big deal because I don't think you could have launched the game with this the way it is, because it relies on so many paradigms that we've kind of come to know from the ground combat system that exists, and because the ground combat system, the current model that we have on holodeck today, is still necessary. I don't think the system could exist without hindsight. And so it's
That's
a way...
That's a good way to put it. I think I agree with you.
In a way, it's like exactly the right system based on what we know the game is about today and the tricks that they've learned today. And so it's like more rewarding in the sense that it's better than it could have been at launch.
Right, and RPG mode still has its strengths. Like I said, for healers, I think they'll primarily stick with that.
Yeah,
and a lot of people like to play more tactically, and I think that they might stick with RPG mode as well to get more of an overview of the combat and be able to be more focused on certain things. But I think for an average gamer coming into the game, first of all, I'm hoping that shooter becomes the default, so that when they're first introduced to ground combat, that's what they're introduced to.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's what happens.
Yeah.
I just think that this
or it's at least brought to attention to in the tutorial.
Yeah. I just think that this completely fundamentally changes the enjoyment level of ground combat. I mean,
it makes it a much more exhilarating experience, more like the space combat. And I think you add that with the new animations that look a little slicker, a little smoother.
Like the 8-way run animations that have been mentioned a few times. I'm actually really getting into those. I kind of like watching my guy from a distance now run around.
Well, and you combine those with new gun firing and new gun and everything looks a little better too, all at the same time.
It's all smoother. It's all faster. It's
a fundamental. It's just this huge change in ground, and
as Al said in our math segment, they reduced hit points and shield strengths across the board. They changed the way that everything works number wise, to the point that ground combat is just faster. Do you remember? What was it? Maybe season 1 or season 2 when everything was slowed down on the ground?
Oh, I actually thought it was during beta.
It might have been.
I thought it was before
It was a long time ago.
Ground combat in beta was faster than it was during release. Yeah,
and they slowed it down, and they introduced the pause mechanics, and they tried to get people to play more tactically, moving their buffs to flanking positions. And that's when they introduced the sprint and roll animations and stuff like that. And it never really panned out. But now that we've got this more like hands-on shooter mode where everything is at your fingertips and you really feel it's visceral.
You're more connected to it.
Yeah. I mean, when you perform a roll in shooter mode, you feel like you're rolling.
Yeah.
You feel like that's important.
Or when you take aim at a target, you really feel like, you almost feel it's more like a first-person shooter type experience where you take aim at a target. But it's a first-person shooter experience with all of the benefits of an RPG type experience. So I mean, like, where you don't have to be so dead on. It's a little more forgiving in your aiming.
It is a lot more forgiving, actually, than a regular shooter.
And I think because of that, it could lend itself extremely well to controllers. I mean, I'm seriously going to take... I really want to take a controller and put it right next to me while I'm playing, and then when I go to ground combat mode, maybe pick that up now.
Well, keep in mind that STO doesn't have complete support within the engine itself for the controller.
You've covered that in the math segment,
I have.
So
I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to check that out.
All you got to do is watch that math segment. You can get that controller working nice with STO, and I think first-person shooter mode, that could be the hottest. And if you're working with R and T, right?
Yeah,
you're working with R and T. You bind those to your
triggers.
Dude, that's money.
Yes, it absolutely is money. Lots and lots of money.
Lots and lots of money. Any other thoughts on the ground combat?
No, if you guys haven't had a chance to hop over to Tribble, if you think the patch is too annoying, first of all, micro-patching alleviates a lot of that pain.
And combined with that new loading screen, you can actually see what percentage of patches you have.
I fully recommend, if anybody is excited about this ground combat, which you should be.
And if nothing else, get in there and submit bug reports.
Oh, totally.
Bug reports.
Actually, today running this segment with Al, I crashed 3 times just swapping my weapons around. So it's got some glitches. They need to be worked out. And the more testers, the better.
Yeah, I mean, make it better for everybody by testing it. And it's a fun experience to get your hands on it. Plus, when it hits holodeck, you'll already be kind of more experienced with it, and you won't have to... Yeah, you won't fumble as much when you're on your production characters. You can hit the ground running.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah. All right, everyone. Now, you've probably heard us mention it a few times, but we do stream this show live at 11 a.m. Pacific every single Saturday over at jblive.tv.
And since we had to delay the Kittimer Accord release due to technical reasons, Chris is actually going to be playing through it one more time. Go ahead and tell him when you'll be doing it.
So go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar so you can convert into your time zone if you want. But I plan to be live Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's normally the time we do our new show, SciBite, which the J-Man's in. Have we mentioned SciBite on the show?
I don't know.
I don't think we have. But the J-Man here
it's
with...
science, guys. You guys like Star Trek.
Yeah,
you must like science.
With his co-geek, Heather, they do SciBite, only they're taking next Wednesday off. So I will be in that spot redoing the STF because my team had some technical issues and we had some teammates drop off. So we're going to redo it then.
Another bonus is that gives me one more week to kind of get everybody's STF guides together and get those posted over on Jupiter Colony, like I've been saying I'll do when we finally put out the Kittimer Accord guide here up the episode.
Which means you still have a chance to send yours in. So send it in to STOked@jupiterbroadcasting.com. All right, everyone. Well, that just wraps up this episode of Stoked, and we'll see you right back here next Tuesday.
Doing a lap. Victory lap.
Couldn't tell you.
They really are. They're running laps.
Nice. We're doing a lot of weird dev things right now, so who knows?
All right, you guys go stand in the corner.
All right, here we go. It's Staked 80, Stoked 80. It's Stoked.
Steak.
It's Steak 87 on the barbecue in 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stoked, the ultimate...
I could have sworn you were going to say steak again.
We're having a rough start. A rough start, ladies.
Stoked. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention, Jeremy, I'm really, really enjoying the new show, MMORG. So nice job on that. Congratulations. That's been enjoyable. I think you've been really nailing the subjects. You've nailing them.
Feels really good to hear from somebody in the business. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to say I agree with basically most of the things that you've said on that show. So I've been looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. And everybody else watching the stream, you heard it.